You might as well just have tokenized gold and have something that's stable to the price of gold, because that's real stability, because gold will maintain its purchasing power. So ideally, the one thing that makes sense to put on a blockchain is gold, because it will work and it will do all the things that Bitcoin promises but can never do.
All right, I got to hand it to Pete. This time, I think he really did do it. That was Peter Schiff, in case you did not know, in case you couldn't tell by the branding. Peter Schiff, notorious gold bug and Bitcoin hater. And I hate to admit this, this honestly pains me to admit this as a Bitcoiner, but I think he might have actually done it this time. He might have really killed Bitcoin once and for all. Obviously, I'm truly, truly bummed because Bitcoiners have been trolling Peter Schiff for years. While Bitcoin became the best performing asset in human history, Pete was sitting there with his shiny pet rock in his office, using it like a doorstop. But this time, I have to say the worst thing a Bitcoiner can possibly ever say, which is, I think Peter Schiff is right. And honestly, I hate giving Peter Schiff the attention because, as we know, that's really what he wants. Peter Schiff is a marketer. He sells gold to people. So one of his greatest talents is trolling Bitcoiners and engagement farming Bitcoiners, rage baiting us. And, you know, we always fall for it. And he gets more attention and he probably sells more gold. So I hate admitting that he's right. He's really, truly, honestly onto something here, and I'm going to explain why. So stick around. This is going to be a doozy. A Bitcoiner explaining why Peter Schiff has finally killed Bitcoin.
You can use tokenized gold as a medium of exchange, as a unit of account, as a store of value. I'm probably going to launch my own token at some point. So you can buy gold at Schiff Gold. We won't send you the actual gold. The gold will be stored in a vault that you own and you have it. And you'll be able to transfer ownership of that gold to other people, through the app. And you could use it, as a medium of exchange. You can pay or be paid in gold
instantly.
And you can redeem it in physical gold. But ideally, you won't sell the gold. You'll use the gold to make the payment because the counterparty will want to get paid in gold. You can transfer the quantity of gold instantly at very low cost, much cheaper, much quicker than you could transfer Bitcoin.
This is a really good idea, okay? Do you hear what Pete's got going here? So he's right, because gold has been trusted as a store of value for 5,000 years. It's very, very stable. I know it just dropped 6% in one day, like a week ago, but that's an outlier, okay? That doesn't count. We don't talk about that. So what you should do, you should definitely not buy Bitcoin. Going forward, what you should do is take your money, send it to Peter Schiff, okay? Let him custody your gold. So like he just said, he doesn't have to send you the gold. Why would he send you the gold? I mean, that's pointless. You have a shiny yellow rock in your house. You can't buy anything with it. So you let Pete keep the gold. He has vaults. They're safe, obviously. He just told you. So you don't need him to send you the gold. You let Pete keep the gold, and Pete gives you something else that like represents the gold, right? You could like give it a name even. Call it Schiff Bucks.
This is a Schiff Buck.
1,000 Schiff Bucks gets you an extra 5 minutes for lunch, but Schiff Bucks, those are as good as gold. You might want to hang on to those bad boys.
That's as good as money, sir.
What's the ratio of Stanley nickels to Schiff Bucks? We don't know. It's tough to say. It's probably something close to the ratio of unicorns to leprechauns, but that's neither here nor there. Because to be honest, I can't believe no one thought of this before. Gold is stable. It's been a store of value for 5,000 years, right? But it's hard to transact in gold, right? It's clunky, it's heavy, it's hard to divide it up. It's difficult, actually dangerous to carry it around. So what you do is you take Pete, you let Pete hold on to the gold. He promises you can have it back anytime you want. So that's obviously foolproof. Like you just go to Pete and say, give me my gold back, no questions asked. And he'll say, of course, here's your gold. No problem. So he'll give you the Schiff Bucks and you can give the Schiff Bucks to somebody else in exchange for goods and services. So you don't have to carry around the gold. It's honestly genius. And the big thing now is like in the past, you probably would have had to use paper Schiff Bucks and he would have to like print them up and get them distributed. Today, like he just said, you don't even have to use the paper Schiff Bucks. You can use digital Schiff Bucks. He can create an app that I'm sure, he knows how to code up apps. Like he's been selling gold for years. Like he could probably do an app like that and it'll be perfect. And it can be on your phone. And it's just brilliant because you can just send the Schiff Bucks to somebody else who also has the Schiff Buck app. It'll work perfectly every time. It'll be instant. There'll probably be no transaction fee. I mean, maybe Pete could charge a transaction fee if he wants to, but I don't think he would do that. I don't think he'd do that to us. He'll probably let you transact in Schiff Bucks for free, on your mobile phone to anybody else with the Schiff Buck app. Nothing will ever go wrong with the Schiff Buck app. We know that. And the big thing is like the transaction doesn't even have to settle. Like there's always this thing about transaction speed and settlement speed, but that's like a red herring. You don't have to worry about that because you can just trade the Schiff Bucks back and forth amongst each other and no one ever has to redeem them for the gold. So the transaction doesn't have to settle in gold. The transaction speed of Schiff Bucks is effectively infinite, solving the biggest problem that we know with Bitcoin. It's too slow and it can't scale. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't understand the difference between transaction and settlement. It's very complicated. You probably wouldn't get it. Honestly, you don't need to know it all. I did explain it in another video here if you're interested, but honestly, you don't have to worry about it. You see, because people had thought that Visa and MasterCard had solved the transaction speed problem, like they can do, gazillion transactions per second or whatever. That's what they tell me when they tell me why Bitcoin is too slow. But they didn't solve the problem like Pete solved the problem, because credit cards are just like credit on a ledger. That's just like Visa saying, oh, like this guy owes this guy $12. So that's not like real money changing hands, right? But Pete cracked the code, because when you hand me the Schiff Bucks, that's real money moving around. I know that they represent the real gold. So I don't need you to actually hand me the gold. The gold is obviously still in Pete's vault. As we know, they're as good as gold, and every single Schiff Buck is accounted for. You know the gold is there because Pete just told you the gold is there. Obvious, duh. You don't ever have to question that at all. There's no reason to question it, okay? And you always know you can redeem the Schiff Bucks for the gold anytime, no questions asked. We don't currently know, the ratio of dollars to Schiff Bucks or Schiff Bucks to gold. Probably makes sense if they are, one Schiff Buck is 1/100th of a cent.
So 10,000 of your dollars is worth one real dollar?
So 10,000 Schiff Bucks is maybe like 1/4000th of an ounce of gold. Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. Pete will figure all this out. You don't have to worry about it. He'll figure out the ratio. He'll figure out where the gold is. You just get the digital Schiff Bucks in your mobile app and transfer them to somebody else when you want to buy something. Done. And the key is that amount, that exchange rate, it will never change because it's pegged to gold. So let me give you an example. Tether is a company that prints stable coins, digital dollars. They're pegged to the dollar. So Tether tried this with US dollars, but people hated it. It's the worst business in the world. It's criticized nonstop because do you know why? Tether, they say that they only mint, which is create, new Tether, new USDT stablecoins when people send them the real dollars first. And then they burn the Tether, which is destroy them, if people redeem the Tether back for dollars. But for years and years and years, people who criticize crypto and Bitcoin have just been saying, hey, do you guys know that Tether might just be minting new Tether without actually getting the dollars sent to them first? Like they could be creating billions of them out of thin air and then letting people buy crypto and Bitcoin with them and pumping up the value of crypto, which is why Tether and Bitcoin and crypto have all completely exploded like the Hindenburg and crashed and burned into nothing. So Tether clearly dead and gone, dead and buried. And Bitcoin, as we know, has died about 499 times in its entire history. So you see this could never work because Tether can print too many Tether and they don't have to have the actual dollars. But Schiff Bucks are backed with gold. That's why it's different. Pete could never print more Schiff Bucks or digital Schiff Bucks because the Schiff Bucks are backed by gold in the vault. He already told you that. So there's only ever the exact amount of Schiff Bucks that are represented by the gold that is definitely 100% in Pete's gold vaults for good. And that cannot change. And the other big thing about this, I don't know if I'm the first person to say this, but unfortunately, you have to admit Bitcoin clearly cannot work because the government would see it as a competing currency to the dollar and they'll just shut it down. So it's clear that for 16 years, the government has been shutting Bitcoin down. And any day now, they're just going to flick that one last switch that just makes all the Bitcoin go to zero and just disappear. Like that's obvious that the US government, I know Bitcoin is global and people use it in other countries, but the US government is just going to flick the switch and shut it down. They've clearly been doing that. So any day now it's going to zero. That's obvious. But Schiff Bucks are different. They are effectively the same thing as gold, which means the US government cannot and won't shut them down. And Pete telling you to spend gold-backed Schiff Bucks instead of dollars is in no way at all crossing into the territory of unlicensed banking or money transmission or unregistered currency issuance. It doesn't touch those three things at all because it's just gold. And that's not regulated at all. So you see, that's why this is brilliant. No one has tried it before. There was most definitely not something called e-gold that started in 1996, whose founders were charged with money laundering and operating an unlicensed money transmission business. That did not happen. Or even, it doesn't matter. If it did happen, this is completely different. I've been telling you the whole time, this is different. You see, Pete created Schiff Bucks to solve the problems of e-gold and fiat and Bitcoin. He studied all three. He knows exactly what went wrong with each of them, why each of them has failed as money. E-gold, fiat, Bitcoin, they've all failed, and Schiff Bucks are here to solve the problems. As we know, if you've been paying any attention, Bitcoin is way too volatile to be used as money. You can watch this video right here if you want to understand why. So you need something like Schiff Bucks, whose value is tied to gold, because gold is stable. And crucially, you don't need anyone's permission to use Schiff Bucks. I know, except Pete's, of course, but that's neither here nor there, because no one can regulate, censor, freeze, or artificially inflate or change the supply of Schiff Bucks. I know, except Pete, but that's not the point. The point is he wouldn't do that because the gold is in the vaults and Pete issues the Schiff Bucks for the gold. Period. It's simple. You can trust him, which is why Schiff Bucks are so perfect. Satoshi Nakamoto, by the way, the guy who created Bitcoin, who no one knows who he is, which means probably just created by the CIA. I made a video about that. You can watch it right here. I'm with Tucker Carlson. CIA created Bitcoin for sure. But Satoshi was definitely an idiot, clearly a moron, because he did not think of all the things that Pete thought of. The e-gold, the fiat. He didn't think of any of the reasons why those didn't work. He's just a dum-dum playing with, digital tokens in his mom's basement. Because if you were going to make digital money, you wouldn't want it to be decentralized or permissionless or censorship resistant or undilutable. Those things don't matter. Those properties don't matter at all for money. When we're talking about using money to transact, they don't matter. The only thing that matters is that it's tied to gold. Therefore, it's stable. And why we keep talking about stable and gold being stable, why is gold stable? Like, what properties does it have that make it stable as money? Honestly, don't worry about it. That doesn't matter. It's been stable for 5,000 years, and nothing else could ever come along that could have the same monetary properties as gold. That's not possible. So you don't have to worry about why gold is stable, what properties it has, or whether something else could ever have those same properties. Don't worry about that at all, because it's clearly not possible. And Satoshi clearly did not understand this, all right? He was a real dummy, to be honest. You can only have digital money that works if it's backed by rocks that are stored in Peter Schiff's basement. That's the only way to make it work. So honestly, I have to tip my hat to Pete. You'd think someone else would have thought of this at some point before. Some government even somewhere, maybe? Like somewhere in the world, the government would be like, okay, this gold is worth something. Let's take the gold, put it in the vault. People are really, pissed off because it's so hard to transact and carry around the gold. So we take the gold, we put it in the vault. We let the people transact with, the gold bucks instead. It's a brilliant plan. It has no flaws whatsoever. Nothing could possibly ever go wrong. And I can't believe that nobody ever thought of it before. So there you have it. This video is a huge bummer. I honestly hate making it. It hurts me. But Bitcoin is clearly dead. Pete is the one who has long been trying to tell us that Bitcoin would go to zero. And who would have ever thunk, to be honest, that he would be the one to kill it? He would be the knight to pull the sword out of the golden stone and slay the Bitcoin dragon himself. But alas, he's done it. Touché to Pete. You win. You did it. It's time for Bitcoiners to pack it up and go home. Bitcoin, for the 500th time in its life, is officially dead.
You have earned 1 Schiff Buck.
So clearly, I will be selling my Bitcoin come Monday when markets open, because obviously you can't transact in Bitcoin on the weekends. I will be shutting down the channel. There will be no more videos coming this week. Honestly, it's a huge bummer. Leave a comment and tell me if you're selling your Bitcoin on Monday like me. And as always, you never forget, Schiff Bucks are inevitable.
Don't you want to earn Schiff Bucks?